Have you ever wondered how we ended up with a tiny, super-accurate clock on our wrists, or even in our pockets? The journey of timekeeping is one of humanity's most fascinating stories. It all started with our ancient ancestors looking up at the sky. They noticed the regular cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. Day turned into night, seasons changed, and this celestial rhythm was our very first clock. The earliest humans used these patterns to track hunting seasons, farming cycles, and important rituals. Simple but effective, the Egyptians, around 3500 BC, took this a step further. They wanted to divide the day into smaller, more manageable parts. So they invented the sundial. By sticking a tall pillar, called an obelisk, into the ground, they could watch its shadow move as the sun traveled across the sky. They marked positions on the ground to indicate different hours of the day. This was a revolutionary idea. For the first time, people could visualize the passage of time. But sundials had a big problem. They didn't work at night, and they weren't very useful on a cloudy day. To solve this, ancient civilizations got creative. The water clock, or clepsydra, was another brilliant invention. Imagine a container filled with water, with a small hole at the bottom. As water steadily dripped out, markings on the inside of the container would show how much time had passed. The Greeks and Romans refined these, using them in law courts to time speeches. They were more reliable than sundials because they worked day or night, rain or shine. Other cultures developed similar ideas, like the candle clock, where burning a marked candle down to a certain point indicated a set amount of time, or the hourglass using sand, which we still see today. For centuries, these were the best tools we had, but they weren't very precise. Water could freeze or evaporate, sand could clump together, and candles could burn unevenly. The real game changer didn't arrive until the Middle Ages. This is when we see the birth of the mechanical clock. Around the late 13th century in Europe, the first large, weight-driven mechanical clocks started appearing in the towers of churches and town halls. These were massive, intricate machines using a system of weights, gears, and a mechanism called an escapement. The escapement is the heart of a mechanical clock. It's what creates the familiar tick-tock sound. It controls the release of energy from the falling weights in a series of small, regular steps, which in turn moves the clock's hands. These early clocks were often only accurate to within 15 to 30 minutes a day, and they usually only had an hour hand. Still, they were a huge leap forward. For the first time, towns and cities had a synchronized, public time that governed the daily lives of everyone, from market openings to prayer times. The next great breakthrough came in the 17th century, thanks to a brilliant Dutch scientist named Christiaan Huygens. He applied Galileo's earlier observations about the regular swing of a pendulum to clockmaking. In 1656, he invented the pendulum clock. The pendulum's steady, predictable swing made clocks incredibly more accurate, reducing a day's error from minutes to just a few seconds. This new level of precision was a scientific revolution. It allowed for more accurate astronomical observations and paved the way for new discoveries. With this newfound accuracy, the minute hand became a standard feature on clock faces, and soon after, the second hand appeared. Time was no longer just about the hour. It was about the minute and the second. But pendulum clocks had a limitation. They had to stay perfectly still. This was a problem for ships at sea, which desperately needed accurate timekeeping to calculate their longitude and avoid getting lost. Navigating the open ocean was incredibly dangerous without knowing your exact position. The British government offered a huge prize for a solution, and an English clockmaker named John Harrison rose to the challenge. Over several decades, he dedicated his life to building a portable seagoing clock known as a marine chronometer. His final version, the H4, was a masterpiece of engineering. It was like a very large, incredibly complex pocket watch. In 1761, it was tested on a voyage to Jamaica and lost only 5 seconds over 81 days. Harrison's invention saved countless lives and transformed maritime navigation forever. This miniaturization of clock technology continued. In the 16th century, the first portable clocks were made in Germany. They were heavy, bulky drums worn around the neck. As technology improved, they became smaller and more refined, eventually evolving into the pocket watch, a status symbol for the wealthy in the 18th and 19th centuries. The Industrial Revolution brought mass production, making clocks and watches accessible to the general public. Suddenly, everyone could own a personal timekeeper. This had a profound effect on society, synchronizing work schedules, train timetables, and the entire pace of modern life. The 20th century brought the most radical change of all, the move away from mechanical parts. In 1927, the first quartz clock was invented. It used the vibrations of a tiny, electrically stimulated quartz crystal to keep time. Quartz crystals vibrate at an incredibly stable and precise frequency, making these new clocks hundreds of times more accurate than the best mechanical ones. This technology was compact, cheap to produce, and by the 1970s, it had completely taken over the watch industry. The digital display replaced the analog face, and a new era of timekeeping began. But we didn't stop there. The ultimate in precision timekeeping is the atomic clock. Developed in the 1950s, these clocks don't use gears or crystals. Instead, they measure the natural, consistent resonance of atoms, like cesium. They are so unbelievably accurate that they would only lose about 1 second every 300 million years. Atomic clocks are the hidden engines of our modern world. They are essential for GPS navigation, synchronizing the internet, financial transactions, and scientific research. Every time you use your phone to find your way, you're relying on the mind-boggling precision of atomic clocks orbiting high above the Earth. So, from staring at shadows on the ground to measuring the vibration of atoms, our quest to measure time has been a story of human ingenuity. Each step from the sundial to the water clock, the pendulum to the chronometer, and the quartz watch to the atomic clock, has not only changed how we see the day, but has fundamentally shaped our society, our science, and our lives. It's a journey that's far from over. Who knows what the next chapter in the history of time will look like? Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey through time as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the amazing history of science and technology. See you in the next one.